Physics says a 110-pound school teacher cannot lift a 3,000-pound Honda Civic. Physics says bones snap under that kind of pressure. But on Tuesday afternoon on Route 9, physics blinked. She was the kind of person you'd instinctively want to carry groceries. She taught second grade, wore cardigans with little buttons, had a collection of ceramic frogs on her kitchen windowsill. The kind of woman who apologized when someone else bumped into her. If you like stories that break what you think is possible, hit that subscribe button. Because what happened on Route 9 that Tuesday afternoon, it's still being studied. It was 3:47 p.m. Sarah remembers because she just checked her phone, annoyed she was running late to pick up her nephew from soccer practice. October light coming in golden through the trees, that specific angle that makes you squint. Her sister lived 20 minutes away, and traffic was, well, it was moving at least. Then the Honda Civic 3 cars ahead did something wrong. Not dramatically wrong, just wrong enough. The car drifted left, overcorrected right, and suddenly it wasn't on the road anymore. It was tumbling down the embankment, that steep drop-off where the highway cuts through the hillside. The sound wasn't just a crash. It was the sickening crunch of metal folding like paper. And then, silence. Until the crying started. A child's scream that cut through the engine smoke. Makes your stomach drop. Sarah pulled over. So did a few others. People were already on their phones, calling 911, doing what you're supposed to do. She started walking down toward the wreck, carefully, because the slope was steep and covered in loose gravel. The car had landed on its side, driver's side down. And then she heard it. Not the driver. A kid, crying from the back seat. That specific sound of a child who's more terrified than hurt. Maybe 4 years old. The voice was muffled, trapped behind crumpled metal and safety glass. A man in a suit was already down there, trying the doors. "They're jammed," he said, pulling hard. His hands were shaking.
No.
I can't get them open." Someone else yelled that help was coming, 10 minutes maybe. But the smell hit her then. Gasoline. Sharp and wrong, pooling underneath, trickling down the slope in a thin stream that caught the sunlight. And something else. Smoke. Just a whisper of it, coming from under the hood. 10 minutes. Sarah moved closer. The man in the suit was on his phone now, talking to the dispatcher, describing the scene. 2 other people stood frozen, staring, doing that thing humans do when crisis overloads the system. The crying got louder, more desperate. And something in Sarah's chest just switched. She didn't decide. Decision implies thought, consideration, weighing options. This was deeper, older, something that bypassed every rational circuit in her brain and went straight to her hands. The car was on its side, driver's side down, passenger side facing up. The roof was crumpled, but the frame was intact. She put her hands on the undercarriage, where the wheel well met the chassis. Metal still warm from the engine. If you haven't already, smash that like button. And stay subscribed, because this gets impossible. She pulled. Not lifted. Pulled. Like she was trying to drag the earth itself. Her fingers found a grip where the metal had bent, creating a jagged edge that sliced into her skin. She didn't feel it. She dug her heels into the gravel. Her cardigan stretched. Her shoe slipped. Physics says this is impossible.
The car weighs 2,900 pounds. Sarah weighs 110. But in that moment, physics blinked. The metal groaned, a sound like a dying animal. The tires scraped against the rocks. Her vision went blurry at the edges. Not blacking out, tunneling. All she could see was that door handle. All she could hear was the blood roaring in her ears, louder than the crying child. And the car moved. Just an inch. Maybe 2, but it moved. The man in the suit stopped talking, stared at her. "Help me," she said. Not yelling, just stating a fact. He hesitated for maybe half a second, then grabbed the same section she was pulling. Another person, a woman in scrubs, scrambled down and joined them. But here's the thing. Later, when the police took statements, when the news crews showed up, when the whole thing got picked apart and analyzed, The man in the suit said something that didn't make sense. She was moving it before we got there, before we added our weight. I saw it shifting, and I thought she was going to flip it by herself. The woman in scrubs said the same thing. When I grabbed on, it was already coming up. We helped finish what she'd started. The car weighed 2,900 pounds. Not all of it was off the ground, true. Physics matters. Leverage matters. But even accounting for angles, for the force multiplier of the position, the math doesn't work. Not for someone Sarah's size. Not without mechanical advantage. 3 people together, maybe. Adrenaline is real. Hysterical strength is documented. But she moved it first, alone. They got the passenger door open once the car was tilted back enough. The kid was fine, strapped into a car seat, screaming but uninjured. The driver, his father, had a concussion and a broken collarbone. Both of them walked away. The car caught fire 4 minutes later. Sarah sat on the curb, hands shaking so badly she couldn't hold the bottle of water someone gave her. A paramedic checked her out. No injuries. No torn muscles, no stress fractures, nothing. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Confused," she said. Her hands were sore the next day. That was it. Sore. Like she'd done a hard workout, not like she'd moved a car. The news picked it up. Local hero, miracle rescue, mother's strength, even though she wasn't the mother, just an elementary school teacher who happened to be driving home. They interviewed her. She was polite, uncomfortable with the attention, said she just did what anyone would do. But that's not what happened. Anyone wouldn't do that. Anyone couldn't. So what was it? Hysterical strength is the label scientists use. It's been documented. A mother lifting a car off her trapped child, a father holding a collapsing beam while his daughter crawls out, a teenage boy dragging a full-grown man from a burning vehicle. Stories that seem impossible until you see the police reports. Here is what the scientists say. They call it hysterical strength, but that's just a fancy way of saying your brain usually lies to you. Normally, your brain is a governor. It limits your muscles to about 60% of their power. Why? Because if you used 100%, you would snap your own bones. You would tear your tendons right off the skeleton. So your brain says stop. It says too heavy. It imposes pain to make you quit. But on that hillside, Sarah's brain didn't say stop. It saw the smoke, it heard the child, and it flipped a switch that most of us never find. It turned off the safeties. It turned off the pain. It said, break whatever you have to break, just save them. But here's where it gets strange.
Most cases of hysterical strength involve a direct personal connection. Your child, your parent, your spouse, someone your brain has coded as essential to your survival. Sarah didn't know these people. She'd never seen them before that moment. Dr. James Corbett, a physiologist who studies extreme stress response, said something interesting when asked about cases like this. The brain doesn't always distinguish between your family and someone who triggers the same protective response. Sometimes the sound of a child in distress is enough. It hits something primal, pre-verbal, a circuit that existed before language, before civilization. Sarah said she didn't remember making a choice. I heard him crying and my body just moved, like my hands knew what to do before I did. Muscle memory, but for something she'd never done before. 3 months later, back in her normal life, teaching kids about fractions and state capitals, Sarah tried to recreate it. Not with a car, obviously, but she went to a gym, worked with a trainer, tried to see how much she could actually lift under normal circumstances. She maxed out at 80 pounds on a deadlift, struggled with it, form breaking down, needing rest between attempts. Nowhere close. "It doesn't make sense," she told the trainer. "I know what I did, I felt the weight, but I can't do it now." "You're not supposed to," he said. "Whatever you accessed that day, it's locked away for a reason." She goes back to that moment sometimes. Not the heroism part, not the news coverage or the thank you card from the father. The moment right before, standing on that gravel slope, smelling gasoline, hearing that child scream. The feeling of her body deciding for her. "It was like I wasn't even there," she said in one interview. "Like something older than me, stronger than me, just took over. And when it was done, it left. And I was just Sarah again." There are approximately 1,400 documented cases of hysterical strength in medical literature. Most of them are fragmentary, anecdotal, Hard to verify. But enough of them are real, witnessed, recorded. Enough to know that somewhere in the architecture of the human body, there's a reserve, a capacity we don't access, can't access, not through training, not through willpower, only through crisis. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not supposed to be that strong all the time. Maybe the limit exists so that when it breaks, when it has to break, we know something truly catastrophic is happening. Maybe weakness is the default setting, so strength can mean something when it appears. Sarah still teaches second grade, still wears cardigans, still has the ceramic frogs. But now when she looks at her hands, sometimes she wonders what else they're capable of. What else is locked away in there, waiting for a moment desperate enough to justify its release. Do you think you could do it again? Someone asked her. She thought about it, really thought about it. I hope I never have to find out. Before you go, think about that. You walk around every day with a reserve tank of power you can't touch. It's there, sleeping in your muscles right now while you watch this, waiting for the worst day of your life to wake up. Subscribe if you want more stories about the strange things humans can do. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt that switch flip, even for a second? Next video, we're going to talk about the opposite, people who froze when they should have acted, and why it's not their fault. I'll see you there.